Hi, my name is Richard Lloyd Evans and I run a project here in South Wales called Project Nestbox. From the age of 6, I've been building nest boxes either with my dad or as I grew older, built nest boxes of my own. I've worked in special needs schools where I've got children building nest boxes, and I continue doing that in schools to this day. The aims and objectives of my project, Project Nestbox, were to attract declining species of birds back into the nest boxes. Not all birds are whole nesting, but those that are, they could do with all the help that we can give them, basically. I mainly work with migrant birds, so pied flycatchers and redstarts are what I try to attract in nest boxes like this and this. And I've got other specialist boxes I've got in place for redstarts. I also make nest boxes for tawny owl, barn owl, little owl, dormouse, bats and hedgehogs, all sorts. Predominantly it's mainly birds that I sort of work with. I've built well over 7,000 nest boxes, well little nest boxes like this. I've got nearly 150 barn owl boxes up around the Gwent area, a couple in Powys, South Powys as well. And I monitor them, and I've got a couple of volunteers that help me monitor them. Lately I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of people building nest boxes and making some really nice videos, and some of the nest boxes have been superb, I must say. But I just like to go over a few things. When you're building a nest box, you're building a house for an animal, and that needs to be good quality. It doesn't need to fall apart. It must be waterproof, and it must be built to a good standard, and hopefully predator free. Now if you're building a nest box for your garden, if you think of a robin or a blue tit or a grey tit, they're the predominant species that you're going to get in gardens. You might get a coal tit, you might get a marsh tit, willow tit, very rare, but you never know. You could even get a lesser spotted woodpecker, which would be a fantastic achievement that way, because they are few and far between. So basically, if you're looking to attract blue tits, great. If you're looking to attract blue tits, then the entrance hole, it doesn't need to be anything bigger than 26mm. 25mm, 26mm, a blue tit and a coal tit, marsh tits, willow tits will take you no problem at all. What I personally do is I always drill 32mm hole. Now that'll cater for all whole nesting species, so we're talking blue tit, grey tit, nuthatch, marsh tit, willow tit and lesser spotted woodpecker if you're lucky. Okay, you might get a redstart, you might get a pied flycatcher, depending on where you are in the country, really. So that's a 32mm hole. That'll cater for all those. What you might have to do in some cases, in some gardens, is put a metal plate around the entrance hole. Now this will prevent grey squirrels and greater spotted woodpeckers from making the entrance hole bigger to gain access to the eggs and the chicks or whatever's inside. You know, it's not nice seeing a nest box being preyed on by one of those predators. I mean, I know it's a vicious circle. They're only feeding their own chicks or their own young, but nevertheless, if you're building a nest box, it must be to a good standard, and hopefully it's not going to fail. Now I make all mine out of 3/4 inch ply. You could go to a sawmill and get natural wood if you wish. I make mine out of ply. These are made out of marine ply, so by the time I add 3 coats of masonry paint, which is what I favour, these are going to last a long time. A lot of my nest box sites that I've got, because I monitor about 1,000 of these little nest boxes on Panai Brycheiniog, the Brecon Beacons National Park, and they are to attract pied flycatchers and redstart mainly, but I get robins, wrens, the occasional whittier, but it's normally pied flycatcher or redstart is what I'm after. Obviously I get lots of blue tits and grey tits also, and nuthatch. What I also do is put felt on the back of my nest box after it's been painted, and that basically protects it. Beech trees, the bark on a beech tree is very smooth, and the water just runs down the side, and it could eventually soak into the nest box. By putting a felt roof on, that prevents that from happening. I mean, that's going to an extreme. You don't need to do that in gardens, maybe. It depends on what sort of tree you're going to put your nest box on. Okay, this one's for a robin. It's an open fronted box, is what robins prefer. You could even get a pied wagtail. You could even get a grey wagtail if you live by any water. and you never know, you might even get a blackbird nesting in it. I've seen that before as well. But these really for robins, you need to try and get these out of sight. There's no point in just sticking that on a tree like that because it's open to predation. And we're talking about crows, grey squirrels, rats. It needs to be out of sight. So if you've got like a clematis or something overhanging or behind a conifer tree or something like that, out of sight, and then that would probably be better for robins. Now, on all my nest boxes, let me just get this out of sec. Quite a heavy box, this one. This is, as you can probably guess, this is a house sparrow colony box, and this particular one has got 8 chambers inside. Okay, it's made out of 3/4 inch wire and it's very heavy. It's going to take 2 of us to actually erect this onto a building. So this is the felt roof. I always put felt roofs on my nest boxes, just for the longevity really. I need these nest boxes to last. They cost money to build. By the time you buy good quality glue and brad pins or screws and nails, it all adds up, these materials. So I want these nest boxes to last. These will all have 3 coats of pastry paint on before they are erected. You don't have to make a felt roof. If you've got external grade ply, maybe just put a ply roof on with a bit of damp course, bricklayer's damp course there as a hinge, so you can open the lid so you can gain access to clean the nest out every year, and that should suffice. But really, I would, if I was you, if you could, paint them with masonry paint if they're ply. If they're natural wood, then you can get a wood preserver. Let the wood preserver soak into the natural wood, and that will last a long time as well. So it's very, very important that you get it right first time. Okay, it's all very well going to these garden centres and buying these little lovely fancy looking nest boxes. They might be fancy looking, but they might not be as functional as the ones that I make. Okay, so be very careful what you buy. Some of these nest boxes in garden centres are quite expensive, and I've seen ones online that are like £5 or £4.99, and they've got little perches on. I mean, the worst is a cardinal sin to put a perch on a nest box for a tip box, because all that perch is doing is a foothold for grey squirrels or woodpeckers, and it's easier for them to make that entrance hole bigger. Do not put perches on any of your nest boxes. All whole nesting birds are acrobatic enough to get into their entrance hole without a perch. They don't need it. Okay, and that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching.